Some more information coming out on the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction, which is getting closer and closer now. It was announced that Kelly Clarkson is going to be involved in the Foreigner induction. She announced that on her social media. Now, we don't know what role she's exactly going to have. She has sung Foreigner songs in the past. Not sure if she's going to be singing or if this is going to be maybe her doing something a little different, maybe part of the induction, the speech. We don't really know, but we just know Kelly Clarkson is now the first name attached to the long overdue induction of Foreigner into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. The other news coming out today on the Hall of Fame is going to fuel some controversy already, and I've already seen it online, controversy about it, and you guys can weigh in on this if you want. But we know that Ozzy is being inducted as a solo artist. We know that he's already in, obviously, with Black Sabbath, but now he is being inducted as a solo artist. And we have been waiting to see, who is going to induct Ozzy. We know Ozzy is not going to be able to perform. So who is going to perform for him? And now we have some of that information. Don't know who's actually doing the induction, but we know that the performers...
Jack Black's doing the induction.
Oh, that's right. You're right. I did miss that, Joel. I did see that. I had that note. Okay, so Jack Black is going to do the induction. So it's going to be wacky. Because Jack Black is always very animated and over the top. I bowl with him once a year. He's even like that on the bowling alley. So Jack Black is going to do the induction of Ozzy as a solo artist. The performers playing Ozzy songs in tribute to him, the singers are Billy Idol, Maynard from Tool, and Jelly Roll. Not exactly guys you would expect, which I'm sure, knowing the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and how all of these award shows are wired, and knowing how every old school artist is wired, they all want hip, young, different people inducting them, singing their praises. It validates them. They like it. They don't want people from their era. They don't want people from the 80s hair era, God forbid. They all want somebody that's cool, hip, different. The producers of award shows want it, and the artists themselves want it. They always want that alliance with something different. I will never forget when the first Kissology came out. I did an interview with Gene and Paul. It aired on VH1 Classic. We shot it at Henson Studios in LA. And I was all ready to do it, and those guys kept pushing back to the network saying they were okay with me doing it as the Kiss Geek anchor, but they wanted some young, at the time, a young, cool, hip artist there basically singing their praises. All of these artists are wired like that. They all love that validation. And at the time, they wanted they were going to use Chester Bennington, I remember. He bailed or didn't show up. Then we were going to use Scott Weiland. Guess what? He didn't show up. So they were stuck with just me. Of these- But it's always like that. Always. Everybody likes to feel like at the time, those were newer, hipper people. Everybody, likes that validation when they're older artists. So anyway, that's where the Jelly Roll component comes in. But there's a lot of people, not happy online saying, Jelly Roll, what's that have to do with Ozzy and rock, whatever. Maynard is interesting. Maynard certainly checks the cool cutting edge box. But it's interesting he's doing this because he generally doesn't do a lot of stuff like this. Is a pretty reclusive guy in some ways. And, Billy Idol is a legendary figure from the 80s, certainly, but obviously comes from the punk world. So the singer choice is very, very interesting. The guitar player choices. Okay, Zakk Wylde, no brainer. Andrew Watt, very curious choice, because although Andrew is a successful producer and musician, he is more known as a behind-the-scenes guy. But he produced the last couple Ozzy records, so they're going to have him up there. Steve Stevens is going to be up there, and Wolfgang Van Halen, who is one of the go-to people these days when everybody wants a younger rock person representing. So those are your 4 guitar players. Outside of Zakk, nobody else who ever actually played in Ozzy's band. Obviously, they could have gone to Jakey Lee. They could have gone to Joe Holmes. They could have gone to Gus G. I mean, I don't think Jake can play anymore, but still would have been nice, maybe some representation, but you're going to get Zakk. So there's your guitar player. And your bass player is going to be Robert Trujillo from Metallica, who, of course, played in Ozzy's band. And your drummer is going to be Chad Smith from the Chili Peppers. So you get the vibe on all of this. You know, you weren't going to get any, outside of Zakk, anybody who actually played with Ozzy. It would have been nice if they called Rudy Sarzo. It would have been nice if they called Tommy Aldridge. It would have been nice if they called some of these guitar players that actually played with him. But, you know, again, I just know how not only the artists think, but how these producers of award shows think. I've worked on shows like this. I know. I've been in on the conversations. So this is all kind of a little left of center of what we'd expect, with the exception of Zakk. And obviously Steve is a great player and Wolf is a great player. I'm not saying these people won't play, but I think most people expected and thought maybe more things from the era that these records were actually big in. And the eye-raising one on the vocals is Jelly Roll. But again, he's a hot guy right now in terms of, in the current landscape of music. And they all go for that and love that stuff. To me, regardless of who plays and who plays what and what happens, to me, the number one most important thing that I want to see is Ozzy, by name, acknowledge and thank the people who have been in his band, who played an enormous part in his success. And I don't care that you've had these beefs with Bob Daisley and Lee Kerslake. If he does not mention, especially Daisley, it will be a travesty of epic proportions. I remind you again, Bob Daisley wrote every lyric Ozzy sang from the first album through, I believe, No More Tears. He played bass on every solo album Ozzy made through No More Tears, with a couple exceptions in there. If Jake isn't acknowledged, Daisley, Kerslake, Rudy, Tommy Aldridge, these people need to be acknowledged by name. He's got months to make a speech. Let's see. Let's see. That's what I'm waiting for. I hope the right thing happens. You know, there was even a campaign online saying that Daisley should be inducted with him and include Bob Daisley. We knew that was never going to happen. But some verbal thanking acknowledgement would be more than in order. We shall see.